The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Lectures and Discourses, the Ramayana, lecture delivered by Swami Vivekananda at the Shakespeare Hall, California in 1900, Part 4. So Valmiki dramatized the life of Rama and taught Rama's two children how to recite and sing it. There came a time when Rama was going to perform a huge sacrifice or yajna, such as the old kings used to celebrate. But there no ceremony in India can be performed by a married man without his wife. He must have the wife with him, the Sardharmani or the co-religionist, that is the expression for the wife. The Hindu householder has to perform hundreds of ceremonies, but not one can be duly performed according to the Shastras, if he has not a wife to complement it with her part in it. Now Rama's wife was not with him then, as she had been banished. So the people asked him to marry again, but at this request, Rama, for the first time in his life, stood against the people. He said, "This cannot be. My life is Sita's." So as a substitute, a golden statue of Sita was made, in order that the ceremony could be accomplished. They arranged even a dramatic entertainment to enhance the religious feeling in this great festival. Valmiki, the great sage poet, came with his pupils, Love and Kush, the unknown sons of Rama. A stage had been erected and everything was ready for the performance. Rama and his brothers attended with all his nobles and his people, a vast audience. Under the directions of Valmiki, the life of Rama was sung by Love and Kush, who fascinated the whole assembly by their charming voice and appearance. Poor Rama was nearly maddened, and when in the drama the scene of Sita's exile came about, he did not know what to do. Then the sage said to him, "Do not be grieved, for I will show you Sita." Then Sita was brought out upon the stage, and Rama, delighted to see his wife. All of a sudden the old murmur arose, "The test, the test." Poor Sita was so terribly overcome by the repeated cruel slight on her reputation, that it was more than she could bear. She appealed to the gods to testify to her innocence. When the earth opened and Sita exclaimed, "Here is the test," and then she vanished into the bosom of the earth. The people were taken aback in this tragic end, and Rama was overwhelmed with grief. A few days after Sita's disappearance, the messenger came to Rama from the gods, who intimated to him that his mission on earth was finished, and he was to return to heaven. These tidings brought to him the recognition of his own real self. He plunged into the waters of the Saryu, the mighty river that laved his capital, and joined Sita in the other world. This is the great ancient epic of India. Rama and Sita are the ideals of the Indian nation. All children, especially girls, worship Sita. The height of a woman's ambition is to be like Sita, the pure, the devoted, the all-suffering. When you study these characters, you can at once find out how different is the ideal in India from that of the West. For the race, Sita stands as the ideal of suffering. The West says, "Do, show your power by doing." India says, "Show your power by suffering." The West has solved the problem of how much a man can have. India has solved the problem of how little a man can have. The two extremes you see. Sita is typical of India, the idealized India. The question is not whether she ever lived, whether the story is history or not. We know that the ideal is there. There is no other Puranika story that has so permeated the whole nation, so entered into its very life, and has so tingled in every drop of blood of the race as this ideal of Sita. Sita is the name in India for everything that is good and pure and holy, everything that in women we call womanly. If a priest has to bless a woman, he says, "Be Sita." If he blesses a child, he says, "Be Sita." They are all children of Sita and are struggling to be Sita, the patient, the all-suffering, the ever-faithful, the ever-pure wife. Through all this suffering she experiences, there is not one harsh word against Rama. She takes it as her own duty and performs her own part in it. Think of the terrible injustice to her on being exiled into the forest. But Sita knows no bitterness. That is again the Indian ideal. Says the ancient Buddha, when a man hurts you and you turn back to hurt him, that would not cure the first injury. It would only create in the world one more wickedness. Sita was a true Indian by nature. She never returned injury. So who knows which is the truer ideal? The apparent power and strength as held in the West, or the fortitude in suffering of the East? The West says we minimize evil by conquering it. India says we destroy evil by suffering until evil is nothing to us. It becomes positive enjoyment. Well, both are great ideas. Who knows which will survive in the long term? Who knows which attitude will really benefit most the humanity? Who knows which will disarm and conquer animality? Will it be suffering or doing? In the meantime, let us not try to destroy each other's ideals. We are both intent upon the same work, which is the annihilation of evil. Take up your method. You take up your method, let us take up our method. Let us not destroy the ideal. I do not say to the West, take up our method. Certainly not. The goal is the same, but the methods can never be the same. And so, after hearing about the ideals of India, I hope you will say in the same breath to India, you know, the goal, the ideal is all right for both of us. You follow your own idea, you follow your method in your way, and Godspeed to you. My message in life is to ask the East and the West not to quarrel over different ideals, but to show them that the goal is the same in both cases, however opposite it may appear. As we wend our way through this mazy veil of life, let us bid each other Godspeed.